This story here kind of piqued my interest. Apparently, the FCC commissioner is saying that the U.S. government should ban TikTok. And, if you read the tea leaves, I have to say, there's a decent chance the government actually will ban TikTok. So here's what they say in the article on Axios. The Council on Foreign Investment in the U.S. should take action to ban TikTok, Brendan Carr, one of 5 commissioners at the Federal Communications Commission, told Axios in an interview. It's the strongest language Carr has used to date to urge action on TikTok, with more than 200 million downloads in the U.S. alone. The popular app is becoming a form of critical information infrastructure, making the app's ownership by a Chinese parent company a target of growing national security concern. So you'll see here, they go on to explain they're worried that the Chinese government now has all this data on all of these Americans, and they think that presents national security concerns. That's why they want to ban it. The FCC has no authority to regulate TikTok directly, but Congress previously acted after Carr voiced concerns about Chinese telecom companies, including Huawei. TikTok is currently in negotiations with CFIUS, an interagency committee that conducts national security reviews of foreign companies' deals to determine whether it can be divested by Chinese parent company ByteDance to an American company and remain operational in the United States. So basically what they're saying is they're either going to ban it or they're going to force divestment and make it, have some American owner. But look, if they have the data, they already have the data. Like if the Chinese government did indeed collect all this data on all these Americans, divesting it now is not going to change the fact that they have the data, right? So, I guess the idea is stop the bleeding and make it so they have no more data. I guess that's what they're trying to get at here. So, more people sign up to TikTok, more of their data gets taken by the Chinese government. If you divest it now, whoever is a new member of TikTok will not have their stuff owned by the Chinese government. But then there's also the question of look, our data is already a fucking mess. It's everywhere. Donald Trump signed a law that had a lower than 10% approval rating. I forget if it was 6% or 9%. It was something like that. And it was to destroy our internet privacy rights. So now companies can sell your information to third parties, and they do it all the time. So what? All these corporations that we don't want to have our data, they're allowed to have our data, and that's fine. That's not a national security concern. Other governments that are allies can have our data. That's fine. That's not a national security concern. The NSA can illegally take all of our data, and that's fine. That's not a national security concern. It's interesting that it's just the Chinese government that they view as that's the problem. Now, I'm not simping for the Chinese government. I think they're terrible in a million different ways, right? But it's weird that this is the one time we're privacy super important. Yeah, agreed. But it should be the case with all the other corporations where we don't want our data going to them. It should be the case with other allied governments. It should be the case with our own government. But they don't view it like that. The New York Times reported in September that a deal was taking shape, but not yet in its final form, and that Department of Justice official Lisa Monaco was concerned the deal did not provide sufficient insulation from Beijing. So in other words, even with trying to divest it, they don't think that whatever deal is on the table is actually going to get the data out of the hands of the Chinese government. A Republican-controlled Congress could try to scrap any deal viewed as too easy on China. Quote, I don't believe there is a path forward for anything other than a ban, Carr said, citing recent revelations about TikTok and ByteDance handle U.S. user data. Carr highlighted concerns about U.S. data flowing back to China and the risk of a state actor using TikTok to covertly influence political processes in the United States. Yeah, so here we go with this again, right? This is very similar. It sounds like Russiagate, doesn't it? Russia, swung our election, did election interference, and then you see that it was a couple shitty memes that popped up on Facebook that didn't even have widespread, didn't even spread far and wide, and it's are they making a mountain out of a molehill? I don't want data in the Chinese government's hands, but, if the other option on the table is just ban it, does that go too far? And by the way, what this does show you is, when they want to fucking get something done, they might actually just ban TikTok, a super duper popular social media app, which shows you if the government wants to do some shit, they'll just do it, right? Our hands are tied, we're not sure we could do X, Y, or Z. It's you can do it, you just don't want to do it, right? When it comes to a single-payer healthcare system, for example, or free college, for example. It's they do all this, I don't know, logistically, it might be really tough or impossible to pull off. But if they actually want to do some shit, you're going to ban a super popular social media app? Again, they might. It's not 100% yet. But it looks like they might be on borrowed time. There simply isn't a world in which you could come up with sufficient protection on the data that you could have sufficient confidence that it's not finding its way back into the hands of the Chinese Communist Party, Carr said. Carr sent letters to Apple and Google in June asking the companies to remove the apps from their stores due to concerns about data flowing back to China. All right, I mean, there you go. This goes on here, but you guys get the gist of it. So will TikTok be banned? There was already, I think Merrick Garland called a press conference the other day where he talked about some big national security concern, and people were speculating, oh my God, he's going to come out and admit and say that they're banning TikTok now. He didn't do that, I don't think, but I mean, it might happen soon. But again, Merrick Garland's not, he's not the head of the FCC. It's a little bit of a different story. I don't know which government agency would come out or which government agency has the authority to say it's totally banned, but it looks like they are this close to totally banning TikTok. And I know that Gen Z is going to fucking not like that. Not like that one bit. Anyway, there you go. If you want to see me and Crystal Ball interview legends like Noam Chomsky, Cornel West, and more, subscribe to Crystal Kyle and Friends on Substack. $5 a month gets you the video version a day early. Remember, we take 0 ad dollars for this podcast. Or you can sign up on Substack for free and get the audio version a day later. Link in the video description box below.